All right, welcome to how to build a mobile application experience design using the design tool Figma class. My name is Aaron Lawrence, and I'll be your instructor for the class. Before we begin into Figma and building out the mobile application that I'll share with you in a second, I'd like to walk through the agenda for the class. So the first video here that you're in right now is the intro to the Figma design tool and the file walkthrough. So I've built you a file that you'll download in the class, and I'll show you how to set that up, give you a walkthrough of that file as well as Figma, and then we can continue to the next series of videos, which is how to design the mobile application experience. It's a boba tea ordering experience that I'll share with you here in a moment. That application's broken down into a series of scenarios that are going to be broken down into a series of videos. So the first video that we'll have after this one is how to design the login and sign up workflow. The next video will be the shopping workflow experience. The next video after that will be the checkout workflow experience. And the next video after that will be the profile workflow experience. I believe that the best way to learn a new tool and learn design is just get right into it and have fun. So this isn't a video where you're going to have a bunch of instructions and things to do. You're just going to follow along with me, and we're going to learn by doing design. So while we're in these videos and these scenarios designing, you'll use Figma to learn how to create and use a component library. You'll also learn how to create and share a clickable prototype so that you can test the prototype or share it with your team. You'll learn how to invite others and how collaboration works within Figma. You'll learn how to export UI assets and also inspect the design for code attributes, and you could use those code attributes for engineering. You'll learn Figma keyboard shortcuts. You'll learn how to use Figma plugins and how to download GUI kits from online. You'll learn how to create comments, and you'll also have some final thoughts, and a going forward will be the last video there. All right, so before I show you the goods and the designs that we're going to build in this class, I just want to talk a little bit about why Figma has become a very popular design tool for major tech companies and most of the industry. And the companies using these tools are companies, or Figma tool, are companies like Google, Twitter, Uber, Airbnb, Microsoft, to say a few. But why Figma? One of the great things here is that it's a cloud-based file storage application. So that means it stores all your files in the cloud. So there's no more file management, trying to track down the most recent file. You can access these files from any computer via the internet. So it doesn't just exist on your computer. They exist in the cloud, and they're accessible anywhere. My favorite thing about Figma being a cloud-based application is that it auto-saves your work. So you never lose progress in your work. It's constantly saving your file in the background. So you never have the crash or the application crash and then you lost work. The other thing, why it's been heavily adopted throughout a lot of the companies, is that it's great with collaboration. And one of the reasons why it's great is you can view multiple mouses, and it makes for real-time collaboration. So if other people are in the tool, you can see their mouses in the tool, and it makes it really easy to collaborate with other teammates. This also makes it easy for engineers and PMs to use, and it's great because engineers can come into your designs and they can inspect them, and they can grab the CSS code attributes and copy and paste it into their code base. The other things that make Figma great is it does prototyping live in the tool. So you don't have to use one tool for designing and another tool for prototyping. It's sort of a one-stop shop for all of that. It makes that prototype really easy to share, and it gives you a clickable link that you can share with anybody in your team, or you can send it to users and you can do testing with them. You can watch them go through the link. You can also download the Figma Mirror application that I'll show you on your phone, and you can see your designs that you're creating in real time also on your phone. It also makes the creation of components and component instances really easy, and I'll show you that in this class as well. And it makes creating style guides and character styles and colors for reusing during your designs really easy as well, that I'll show you in this class. And it makes for dropping comments, so other teammates or yourself can drop comments in the tool in the context of your designs, which really makes it really easy to see what people are referring to when they're giving comments to your design, which I'll also show you in the final videos. It also has endless artboard space and page layout, and it has lots of plugins that you can use to make designing faster. All right, so that's a little bit about why Figma. Let's go take a tour of the application that we're going to learn in this class. So I'm going to go over to the prototype here, and we have a loading screen. It's the Boba Tea application experience, and what this does is allow anybody in San Francisco to open up, to download this application and to get boba tea ordered to them and delivered to them in real time. So essentially, if I want boba tea delivered in my office, I can order a boba tea and I can have it delivered into my office within San Francisco within 15 minutes. So what we'll learn in the first video after this is we'll learn how to build out the sign up and login page that you'll see here. You can see it has a tab system on the top left and right. And let's go ahead and log in. So I'm going to put my name or my email. I'm going to put my password in, press the login button. Figma also supports animated GIFs, so you can see that little loading spinner GIF. I'll show you that as well. And then here's the shopping experience here, is all of the 4 boba teas flavors that we have on offer here. We have the tab bar here that stays fixed, meaning it doesn't scroll with all the other content. I'll show you how to do that in this class as well. And let's say I want to order one of these regular boba tea drinks here. I just have to tap anywhere on this square and it opens up the regular milk tea shopping settings. And here I can change the milk if I wanted, maybe non-dairy milk, almond milk. I can also change the regular sweetness here and the medium ice. So in this user experience, we'll change out the regular sweet to a semi-sweet. So here we'll also use Figma to learn how to create a mobile drop-down, which is a slide up here that you can see. And when I click the semi-sweet, you can see the semi-sweet has populated now. So it's really feeling like a real application, although it's just your designs. And this is the things that we do to show engineering how to build out the experience, the transitions, and the little details that we have in our designs. So you can see here I can select my toppings. The toppings I have on selection are large tapioca, small tapioca, or lychee jelly. I can see the total here, and I have the add button. So let's go ahead and add large tapioca. So you can see I've added the large tapioca. I've seen the price go up a bit. And I'm going to go ahead and add this to my cart. You can see that transition where the screen went down. We're going to learn that in this class as well. And I can see now that I've added this to my cart. If I click on the cart here, I see that I've added the one milk drink or one regular milk tea drink. And I can edit. I can remove this. I can also add any quantities, but I'm good with it. I just want one drink delivered to me. Here's the subtotal, the taxes, the delivery fee, the order total, and I'm good to go. If I want to close this, I can press the X and it will close it down like that, and I can reopen it again. So you'll learn these little transition states in this class as well. So let's go ahead and do the next. And you'll see the address here. I can put the address in, my apartment, and my phone number. Press done. Let's say I wanted to go back at all. I can press the back arrow. You can see that screen slides from the left to the right, and you can also see it come in from the right to the left here. Those are little transition details that we'll learn in the class as well. And I'm going to go ahead and put in my credit card information here. Press done, and I can see my order total here at $9.49. And I'm going to go ahead and pay. And we can see we're using that spinner again. It's submitting payment. And you'll see I am now seeing the delivery of my boba tea on the map in real time. And bang, it's here. I can say, okay, got it. And it takes me back to my home screen. If I want to go look at my profile here, I can tab over to my profile. I see I'm now on the active profile tab. I can see picture of myself. I can add a picture. I can edit the information here. Oh, and by the way, this isn't a picture of me. This is just a random picture that I have of somebody using a plugin in Figma. That's really neat. It's a plugin called Content Assets that I'll show you how to download, and it just pulls photos for you really easy. Also, there's the order tab here, and I can see my most recent order was that one regular milk tea, the date, and the total there. And I can click back on the mobile tea or the boba tea icon here, and it takes me back to my shopping experience. I can go back to my profile, I can log out, and I'm back at the login screen here. All right, pretty awesome. So that's sort of the goods that we'll go through in this class and learn how to build. But going forward right now is what you'll need to do if you haven't already is go ahead and go to Figma, figma.com, and you can just do a Google search like Figma download and find the Figma download URL, which is figma.com/downloads. And download either for Mac or Windows. I'm using a Mac, and most people that do design work here are using a Mac. So download the local application for your Figma file, and you'll see here, if I press the download, it shows up on my bottom left corner. I double click on that, it will show up in my applications, and you can begin to start using Figma. What's really neat though also is you can also access Figma through the web as well. So you can see here, I have the file loaded here on web, and I can go through all the designs that I just showed you on web. But for this class, it's best to use the local application. So download the local application. And the best part is it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Okay, so go ahead and download the application if you haven't already, and pause the video, and I'm going to continue on, and you can join us after you download the Figma application. All right, now that you have Figma up and running, go ahead and download the class file or folder here. It's called Figma file for download. And once you have that downloaded, you can go ahead and open it. It has two things in it. It has the Figma class file that you're going to open in Figma, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. And this is the file that we're going to use for the entire class. Also, it has the fonts for the file and the design that we're doing for that boba tea application experience. And you can see all the fonts here. This should already be installed in your Figma application, but just in case it's not, you have them here. You can install those on your machine. Okay, before you open up this file here, I'm going to go to Figma. Beginning of Figma looks something like this. You land on this page. You have your drafts, your plugins, your recents, your search. You have your settings here. Most of the time, I'm going into the drafts here, and I'm making new artboards. Your Figma application probably doesn't look like mine because it has I have a lot of files already that I'm using. But you could do the new file here, and that's how you create a brand new working file here. You've seen like I've done here. If you click on Untitled here, this is how you create a name for it. You just say name here. And now I have a name here file created. I'll get into the inner workings of Figma here, but it's best just to open up the file that I've created for you, and we'll go through all of the details, and we'll just learn by doing, which I think is the more fun way to learn. Okay, so now that you're here and you have the file, if you're already in a file within Figma, you can come to this section here. So come to this, if I click on the top, like 4 boxes here in my Figma application, comes to my home, like dashboard here. Go on the draft section here. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click and drag this file here, this Figma class file /boba tea, into this space here. So you can see it highlights blue, and that's how you'll load up this file. And eventually you'll have this Figma class file here. I'm going to go ahead and delete the one that I just created called name here. That's how I delete. So if you ever want to manage this space, you just right click on different files that you've created within Figma, and you can delete them, duplicate them, rename them, share them, copy links, open them. You can also just open them by double clicking. So once you have the Figma class file open up, just double click into it, and bang, we're into the file here. Go ahead and follow me. Let's just go to the final prototype here, and this will be the good section to take a look at. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out by doing a command if you're on a Mac, or control if you're on a PC, minus. So command minus for me, and I'm already doing some basic functionality within Figma, which is command minus to zoom out, command plus to zoom in. And if I want to also zoom in and out, I can hold down Z and see how that gives me the magnifying glass. And I just click and I zoom, click and select, click and drag, and that will zoom in the artboard or this art page to anywhere on the page. I can command minus again. And the next thing that's important to learn too is if you hold spacebar, it gives you this little hand. And this hand, if you click and drag, allows you to move this space around pretty quickly. So those are some of the fundamentals of really any design tool, is you're using command minus, command plus to zoom in. And as you zoom in, you're using the space bar and the hand tool to move things around to help position yourself. And then you can hold Z to zoom into places that you want to see more. Let's say I want to grab that this little arrow icon, and I could zoom back here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a walkthrough of Figma here. Again, like you saw before, if I want to change the name of this design file, I just click at the top here. I can change the name. I also have all my layers here, which I'll show you how to do that here in a second for this page system here. So what Figma allows you to do first off is it allows you to create pages here on the left. So you can see I have the learning page. This is where we're going to go ahead and design out that boba tea application. It has the component library page here. This is where we're going to put all our components that we'll reuse, our UI components. It has the final prototype. This is the actual boba tea application experience that you just seen, already built out, ready to go in Figma, just in case you ever get stuck during the class or you just want to dive into the designs I already have and see how I've used them. It's all there for you. I have the design goods. This is a breakdown of all the icons and photos that we're going to use for this class already here. And I also have the GUI kit. This is the iOS GUI kit, and this has all of the functions for keyboards for your iPhone devices, notifications, all there. We won't use all of it, but it's there for you for future projects if you need. So what you could do here is, let's say I want to create a new page. This is a new workflow that I want to work on. You just click on the plus button here, and you can see I have a page 6. I'm just going to call this new page here. And now I have a new art space that I can go create all of my designs here. So let's go ahead and delete this page here. So we're going to delete this guy here. You can see I can delete page, I can rename, I can duplicate it. I can also do a new page as well. We'll just go ahead and delete it. So that's how you add pages and delete pages. Now that we're in the learning page here, you can see at the top here we have our tools. You have the selection tool, some move tools, some scale tools. You have the artboard tool here. It's a frame tool and the slice tool. I'll get into these as we do it. I think it's best when just a design as we go, and I'll talk about these tools more in depthly throughout the videos here and show you how we use them. But here's the shape tool to create rectangles, lines, circles, polygraphs, stars. You can also place images. You can also just drag images and just drag them into the Figma. And that's how I tend to place images in this tool. You have the pen tool, which allows you to create any shape that you want here, which we'll get more into as we use the tool or as we do these series of videos here. We have the comment tool, which I have a video towards the end here, how to use this. And then we have the similar settings here at the top. We have the file here, so you can open file from a browser. You can save this file as an actual file, so you can get it out of the cloud, like I did here for the documents for this class. You can export artboards, and you can export the screens as PDFs. Some basic edit functions like Command C to copy, Command V to paste, and then you have some view areas to view grids. You can see view layers. A lot of stuff, a lot of like any design tool, you don't have to use, you have to learn all of this. You just kind of learn the basics, and you'll learn as you need to learn. So I'll show you pretty much 90% of the tool that I use, and there's still some things within it that I don't use, that I don't find all that helpful for, but they're there. Some option settings. You have some vector settings if you have any vectors. I'd never use this at all, just heads up. You have some text features here. Again, I never use this here. I use the text field over here that I'll talk about here in a moment. You have arranging objects. I'll sometimes use this, but I also use quick keys for these as well. These are how to like layer objects on top of each other and arrange them. You have your windows. Rarely do I ever use this as well. The plugins are cool. I do use the plugins a lot. So I have a video towards the end here that just talks about just plugins and how awesome they are. And then help. You can just quick search anything here if you wanted to, like keyboard, and it will give you keyboard shortcuts here, which I have a video on towards the end that we'll talk about. So if you ever get stuck, you can do the help here. All right, and then so let's go ahead and just create a rectangle here. You can see I've grabbed the rectangle tool, I've clicked and dragged here, and you can see the left column here is a lot to do with my layers and my pages here that I have. The right column here has to do with whatever I select. So you can see this is a basic, I'm on the artboard. It's showing my background for the artboard, some local styles. I'll show you how to set these up in the video, the next series of videos that we'll do. And I click on the rectangle. Watch the stuff on the right, it's gonna change. Boom. So now it's changed to rectangle functions here. So I can change the width of this. I'm just holding, let's say I want 20. You can see it's gonna go real small. Let's go like, I don't know, 2000 if we want. And let's go ahead and make this 2000 as well. We got a square. I'm gonna zoom in on that. So I changed the width and height of that square. Let's say I want to rotate it. That's the rotating. You can also just rotate by just clicking on the side here. You see when I hover my mouse over the side of any corner, I get a rotate tool. And if I just click and drag, it rotates elements. But if I want to get more specific, I can click here, the rotate, and get more specific. I can also round edges here. So you can see if I go up here, I'll round the edges and they'll get more round and round, eventually turning this rectangle into a circle. If I click into the independent corners, this allows me just to round out one corner at a time. You can see just the top right there is getting rounded. And I'll dive more deep into these features as we continue on with the class. But I have a fill here. I can change the colors. Let's say I want to make this blue. I can change a solid to a linear, which is a gradient. So now I have two colors. Let's say I want to change this color here into maybe something more purple. And you can see it's at 0% opacity here. There's an opacity slider, makes it transparent. And now I've made it full-fledged. That's kind of a nice color. I have my document colors here below that you can see as well. And let's say I want to add a stroke, like I want to add a black stroke to this. So here's my stroke. You can see what I did here was I pressed the plus and I've added a stroke here. And then if I can make the stroke thickness more here, as you can see. I can also do the same thing I did with the fill. I can change the color of it. I can change it from solid to linear, have different gradients. It's fun just to go play around with these too. Let's say I just want a solid here. I can change the colors here. Let's go like a darker blue. Okay, and then I have the transparency here. So if I want to set the entire image transparent, I can start to move it down. Eventually it disappears, move it back up, it appears. I can do the same thing with my fill. You can see here I'm just making the fill transparent. Pretty simple. And I'm just pressing the keyboard down arrow to do that. You can also type it in. Let's say I want like 20. And now I'm going to go back to 100. And I can do the same thing here for the stroke. I'm pressing shift down arrow and I'm seeing the stroke go away. For the stroke, I can do an inside, I can do a center, I can also do an outside there. Pretty simple stuff. For the effects here, you can do drop shadows, things like that. So it has a drop shadow here. Let's go apply a drop shadow here. You can do inner shadows. It defaults to drop shadow. That's mostly what most people use. Let's go make this, we'll start with maybe 70% here on the transparency. Let's make it 40 on the left or the right and 40 on the bottom. Let's add a long blur on it. And you can start to see that drop shadow. And then if I want to change the drop shadow color, let's say I want to put a little bit of blue in that drop shadow there. We got some blue going. I'm going to go ahead and delete the stroke. So I can press the eyeball, and that's just still keeps the stroke, but I just can't view it. And I can press the minus here, and I can just delete it. So now I just have a rectangle, and I have the shadow applied to it. I'm going to go ahead and click on this rectangle, and if I do a Command C, or I go to Edit here, and I do a copy, and then I go and do a Command V, or Edit, and I paste, you can see that I've just pasted a rectangle here. I can also hold Option, click and drag, and I can copy a rectangle here. And if I hold Shift while I'll do that, it keeps it in line, so it's exactly at the same alignment as the one that I'm copying here. You can see I can't snap out of this, but if I undo Shift, I can. But let's go ahead and make these all a little bit not aligned here. So now I have 3 rectangles, and you can see here on my panel on the left here is I have, get rid of these, I just press delete. I can select these rectangles just by clicking these layers over here, which is helpful because as you start to get many design elements going on your page, it's nice to know that you can just go select them over here. I can also hold down Shift, and I can select a couple of these. Select all of them. What if I just want 1 and 3? Then I can hold down Command, and I can just select the 1 and 3. I can also just find the one here, click on the rectangle itself, hold Shift, click another one, and you can see I have these 2 selected, not this one right now, just these 2 here. And I can move these 2 around. I can hold Shift again and unclick, and now I just have this one selected. Or I could click and drag, and I can select all of these just like that. And I can hold Shift and click and drag again and see how it unselects the areas that I'm clicking and dragging. So those are some pretty really fundamentals of any design tool is being able to select elements, create elements, add some color, add some stroke, add some effects, being able to select multiple objects, deselect multiple objects. Another thing that's pretty fundamental too is being able to align these. So you can see I've selected all 3 of these, and I press the alignment, and bang, they're all aligned at the top. I can also evenly distribute them. So I can say tidy up here, or let's do distribute horizontal spacing, and it makes equal spacing from left to right and left to right here. All right, so you can see that a lot of those functions that I just showed you were also at the arrange setting up here, object settings up here. Let's say I have, I'm going to make one of these just black. So I'm going to go back to solid and just make a black one, and then I'm going to make this one here I'm going to make this one, go back to a solid, and just make this one, any color is fine, but I'm going to make it pink for this case. Now you can see my layering here. So I have the pink on the top, I have the gradient in the middle, and the black on the left. If I want to change any of these layerings, I can go to Object, and I can go to Bring to Front. So whatever object I have selected this square, I can bring to front, and boom, we brought that one to the front page. If I want to bring it, let's go ahead and say I want to bring this pink one up now. I'm going to go to Object, Bring to Front, and now I can see that's gone up to the front now. If I want to send this all the way to the back, I can go Send to Back, and you can see it's to the back. And if I want to bring it up one, I'm going to bring forward. And you can see how I brought that forward. I can also do the same thing by clicking the layers and dragging the layers. So you can see I'm dragging the layers up, and I'm going to bring the pink all the way to the top here. Pretty simple stuff. Let's say I want to flip this element here. Let's do, I'm going to make one of the corners have a different shape here, and I want to flip it. Just go to Object, go to Flip Horizontal, and you'll see it will flip horizontal, or I could flip it vertical as well, and I have that. I can also do the rotating up here as well, but I like to do the rotating just by putting my mouse over here and rotating it just like that. Okay, cool. So that was a little rundown of the basics of Figma, the design tool. Let's go talk a little bit about the structure of this file that I've given you. So we have the pages here. We're gonna create everything in this learning page here at the top left. We have the component library page to put all our components. You have the final prototype here. So essentially, this learning page that we have at the top will eventually look like this file here, broken down into those 4 scenarios that I've labeled here at the top. These are just a square with text on it. That helps me organize my files. So you have the login file here, you have the order scenarios here, the checkout here, and the profile screens here. So those are all in the file. They're already prototyped. You can see if you click on the prototype tab over here, and I click and drag this here, that's how we prototype our screens together, which I'll show you in the next file or the next video here. But you can see it's all here for you. But the best way to learn this is actually just, we're going to recreate this, but it's a safety net if you need it. I have all the design goods over here, and so we're ready. We already have everything that you need here as well. And yeah, and without further ado, I think we're ready to go ahead and kick in to the next section of this video, which is we're going to learn how to start designing that mobile application, and we'll start with the login and sign up workflow. So again, I want to thank you for taking the class, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.